Right, first item on the agenda, election of the chairman for this coming year, 2018-2019. We have one candidate that I'm aware of.
Need a proposal, Chairman.
I'll propose him.
Him whom? That's what I asked. Can we have a show of hands on that, please?
Well, I didn't hear you said.
No.
We didn't ask if something advice.
No, we got there yet.
Oh, right.
In which case, I can clear off. To receive the chairman's declaration of acceptance of office. You aren't going to pop that now, are you?
Yes.
This is when I take the chair away with me. Not that kind of thing. Right, mate, I'm going to hand over to you. Congratulations. Heartfelt condolences.
Yes. Switching the shoulders just.
6 inches taller than what?
Well, good evening and welcome, and may I take the opportunity to thank you for voting me in, and also thanks to Nick for steering the committee over the last couple of years and a steady hand at the tiller. So many thanks, Nick. Thank you. Right, shall we press on for the election of Vice Chair? I propose Sue Worrell.
I'll second it.
Any other suggestions?
She knows she's being.
Yes,
Not
she
yet.
does. She does.
She's not here.
She's not here. What are we doing?
She
now?
did.
Yes, she does know. I emailed her as well.
Okay.
She's cracking to snap.
So, all in favour?
Yes.
Just show of hands. Sue Worrell, Pete?
Yeah. I look forward to delay Chairman the next meeting.
We will indeed.
Sign the form.
Okay. Item 5, to receive any apologies for absence.
Apologies from Jessica Healy, Ricky Isgar and Sue Worrell. Oh, and David Huxtable. Not surprised.
The meetings, the minutes of the last meeting.
There's been circulated, Chairman. The only comment I had was that Polly Costello mentioned about some chevron signs being knocked down. We put Blackpool Road and instead of Mudgley Road. I have amended the minutes to show Mudgley Road. So
I'm on it.
with that alteration.
Bloody quick, actually.
Very lovely. Which it's only haven't been put up yet.
This is your expenses.
Will be later. That comes later. Thank you.
Right, okay. Point 7, any matters arising?
None that I'm aware of, Chairman.
Okay. Item 8, Steve? Okay.
Got a bad throat, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Thank you for the chance to speak to you in a croaky voice. I've got very little voice, I'm afraid. I've laryngitis this week. So we'll keep it short. So that's good for you guys. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to the Parish Council again. We hope you found the letter useful we sent around a few weeks back. We thought we'd go old school. Wow, what's this come through my letterbox and get picked up. So if you didn't know already about the group, you now know a little bit more about us and what we get up to, what we've done in the past and what we're planning in the future. And we're not a talking shop, and we like to get stuff done basically. By the way, the Wedmore Parish Hall PV and solar battery is going in next Friday week, so that's really exciting. So we'll probably do some sort of occasion a few weeks further down the line once it's all working fine, some sort of ribbon cutting. So I'll keep you posted about that because that'd be a lovely event. Open some champagne, I'm sure might happy stump up with that. So that's cool. And then our latest and most ambitious project is this zero carbon rebel project, which Nick very kindly came along to our launch a few months back. And just finally, well, that was quick, wasn't it? But I think it's probably best that Pat sent questions to me afterwards. I was trying to think of different ways that we can help each other as time goes on. I'll have a few things that we can do. So I've got 4 things here that you guys can talk about and ask me about. Some of you do come, and please do come to our meetings anytime you like. Every Monday, first Monday of the month rather, in the George upstairs at 8 p.m. We usually have a speaker of some sort at the end as well. We have a really short business meeting of half an hour, and then we'll have a speaker or discussion about something important. So open welcome to everybody. And secondly, Glenys was marvellous as our PC rep before, and if that can continue, that'd be fantastic. I don't know if that's something which is done these days, but Glenys was fantastic. It's just good to have one person that we can liaise through, if that helps you guys. The third thing is, with a zero carbon Wedmore project, it's such a big ambitious thing that we're looking to do here. I don't know whether it's worth maybe a parish council subgroup that we can be part of, or something that can look at it, or maybe just the PC rep we could have more in-depth discussions about, because it's got so much implication for all of us and it's so exciting. But that's entirely up to you, and let me know what you decide. And then finally, the fourth thing, just a reminder really, if you meet anybody on your travels, I know you guys are talking to parishioners every day of every week, and if anyone comes to you struggling with heating bills, or has any questions about renewable energy, or what sort of this carbon thing going on, just send them our way, and we'll happily chat with them and help if we can. We're always here to sort of help and support people in that sort of respect.
Okay.
So that's it. That's probably the end of my voice, but any questions, please, Phil?
There was just one from myself really regarding, it was just unfortunate that you guys didn't get more involved with the cross farm. And from day one really, with stipulation of how or what was going to be used with regard to the Acorn property development. Just hope with regard to Glenys being on your committee that we can you can replicate with regard to having input with other developers that are looking to build in the village, and hopefully it'll work both ways. And we can maybe get on them a bit earlier with regard to some sustainability with the house building, really.
No, brilliant. No, that's a very good point. Thanks, Neil.
All right.
Yeah, no, absolutely fair point.
Okay.
We do get quite sort of stroppy on the letter every now and then, so but it'd be good to do a bit more proactive and early work like this.
Well, early, we're getting developers coming on board, as other proposals that we're aware of, and it'd be great in the initial consultation that we can put it down as a whole package, really, what we require. So
I'm sure the Blackford Road ones will be coming up really soon. So please shout and we'll come along and have that.
No, that's great. Anyone else got anything to add? That's great.
Okay.
Thanks for your time. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. All right.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
Right, moving on, item 9, reports from county and district. Bobby?
And I haven't got an awful lot, so I'm not going to do much tonight as we've got a busy night, so usual amount of meetings and nothing exciting to report.
Pete Brown's not here at the moment. Sure,
Do you want to go for that?
about quarter of the way to the end.
Okay.
I don't know what to do with Polly's footpath thing now, while they just are about.
Yeah, we bring it forward. What was it?
Sorry, bring that forward.
That's not on there yet.
It is it?
Yeah, it is.
It's really showing, not that close.
We'll bring point 23. Can't remember the gentleman's name.
Just around here.
Yeah, okay. Mike contacted me a little while ago about his property. He's up on Pilpon Street, opposite, he's in that field that's owned by Jimmy Gibb, and there's a house. There's a map here, I'll pass it round. People can have a little look where it is.
More or less opposite the junction.
Yeah, and there's a footpath that goes across Jimmy Gibbs' field, but this house was built in 1950? 56. And then after that, someone came along and said, oh, well, there's a footpath that used to run through there. Well, anyway, the house has been built, and basically what we're hoping to do is get some support tonight from the parish council to get this footpath removed, because
no, it usually doesn't exist, does it? Really?
Well, it doesn't, and the fact is that people know they can walk straight across Jimmy Gibbs Field, or they walk round West End. County Council obviously been quite tricky about it, and I think their suggestion is probably to knock the house down. We all know that some of the County Council don't have any money in their budget, and they're in terrible trouble anyway. They're not going to do that, but what we would really like to gain tonight is some support to actually, so the parish council would like to support this removal of this footpath. It's all ridiculous. I'll hand you over to Mick, who can fill you in a little bit more about it.
Okay.
Okay. I've produced a sort of time event right from the purchase of the building of the property through to today's, and that's with Polly on the back with the map attached. As Polly said, basically the bungalow was built in 1956. The definitive map, which is the footpath that runs through the property, was actually produced in 1970. It was finalised in 1970. So we're talking a number of years after the bungalow was built. The first time my wife and I bought the house in 1981. We moved in 81. And the first we heard, sorry, I need to look, my memory's absolutely shocking nowadays. The first time we heard that there was a footpath mentioned at all associated with our property was when we got a notification from Wedmore Parish Council in 1992. And at that time it raised its head. David Muse used to own the property behind me where the footpath runs, and he had applied, I believe, to the Parish Council to try and get it closed. Anyway, that brought in Somerset County Council and all hell broke loose basically. And it landed in the hands of our solicitors and basically went quiet. And my solicitor at the time suggested the best thing is the council are trying to re-establish a footpath, keep quiet. So whether I was right or wrong, I kept quiet. And nothing happened then until 2011, when Somerset County Council wrote to us again to tell us we had this footpath, and that I should be looking to provide some alternative. They didn't suggest stoppage or diversion, but they suggested I ought to approach landowners in the area to see whether I could find an alternative path through other people's land. Obviously I've got no sway or weight with these people, so that fell behind the door. I did have a meeting though with the Somerset County Council with a chap called Peter Hobley. I don't know if anyone's aware of him, and he's still current in post, who wrote to me after he had a site visit with Chris East, who's also with Somerset County Council on footpaths. He wrote to me suggesting there may be a way forward using S53 Wildlife and County Act 81 to amend the definitive map. As a result of that, I got another solicitor. We put forward, after the solicitor had been speaking to Peter Hobley, we put forward a request for closure. That was approximately 4 years ago. Just before Christmas last year, I received a letter from Somerset County Council to suggest that they're a little behind in their workload associated with footpaths in the county, and they were behind in deciding what was going to be their priorities for the next 2 to 4 years. So they hadn't even decided their priorities, and they told me that I wasn't even on the list to be discussed. As a result of that, I thought this can go on for another 5-10 years. I'm 73. I could be dead in 4 or 5 years, who knows? Don't want to be, but I could. I could be gaga. I could leave the problem to my family, which I don't want to do. So I thought that I would engage with the council to see whether there was any way to push this on. And I did hear at the time that they thought a diversion may be a more simple route for them to take. And that's when I spoke to Polly to see whether if I was to change the closure request that we put in to a diversion, whether the parish council would be supportive of. But as Holly said, the situation is so ludicrous. From the time the bungalow was built, I can't say whether anyone tried to walk a path in the years between 56 and 81 when we purchased it. But I know when we purchased it, since that date, no one has ever attempted to walk that path. And when I spoke to Polly, she suggested, well, the closure you got in seems to be the most appropriate way to move forward. My being here really is to see whether this parish council is prepared to give that backing, so that when my solicitor engages with Somerset County Council, by the way, we've also written to the Somerset County Council saying we're happy to have another on-site meeting with whoever the personnel is in being at the moment. And we're looking to see whether at those stages we can say the Wedmore Parish Council is firmly behind either a closure or a diversion using the roads, instead of altering pathways through my property, which would either go through our bedroom or through. It's just a ludicrous situation, you can see from the.
Right, it seems ludicrous it's even got this far, really. So, Polly, what do you suggest?
You see, because what they're suggesting, a sort of diversion kind of going through his garden and then coming out on Pilgrim Street, but they're talking about you can't bring a footpath out where there aren't any pavements. But then the original footpath went out onto West End where there are no pavements anyway, so the whole situation is completely
Just need
bonkers.
someone looking at it. And
Nick would like to get it closed, it's removed, and I am wholeheartedly behind him, and he said, do you think the parish council will back me? So I said, bring it to the parish council and see what they say. So I would like.
Totally behind him.
Yeah.
Behind him.
Okay.
right,
Yeah, I think we need to wait for some correspondence from County Council asking, rather than sort of take the initiative and, I don't know, when we take the initiative and just write to the home, to the...
can we just push it? Can we push it on a little bit and just
Yeah,
give them a
push it
nudge?
on.
Because if we wait for them, that might take
could
another
be.
2 years.
When my solicitor put in the closure note to Somerset County Council, they did say to me that they had sent a letter to the landowners who the path affects, plus Wedmore Parish Wedmore Parish Council at that time. So on file, there may be a letter that from my solicitor that is
Do you know when that would have been, Mr. Anthony?
Pardon?
When would that have been?
Oh yeah, I can give you a date. I need to find it, I can't remember.
It's only right a letter.
I think so.
There's a footpath just feet away from where we're talking about.
As long as it goes across the Liberal fields, and then everyone else would go round.
Okay, 25th of June 2013.
For my side.
Perhaps if you had a copy of that, and then you can refer to
If I can find a copy of it.
it. No, but we maybe.
Mr Chairman, can't we just propose a motion to support, isn't that what we're after?
Sensible.
I propose a motion to support the removal of footpath.
Yes, second.
Thank you.
I will write to Chris East at County Hall and tell him the parish council decision, if that would help.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And I've left the time I'm with Polly in the so she's got the details.
What's the name of the house, Mr. Anthony? Sorry.
Warner's Close.
Warner's
Close.
Warner's Close.
Okay.
Where Mrs. Canelli lived.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye then.
Thank you, please.
I think it's disgusting that he's had to use solicitors. Think of all that money. They're absolutely rubbish.
The other 4 years ago, here is life.
Okay.
Do you want to move on to number 11?
11 then. Delegation arrangements to committees and subcommittees and employees.
It's normal practice, Chairman, for the only committee which has the authority to make decisions, the planning committee. All the rest have to refer their suggestions to the full council for approval. So we normally just rubber stamp that and say it stays the same as in previous years, and that's members.
Propose it stays the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Second that.
Put tools on.
Point 12 is another rubber stamp, Chairman, the terms of reference. Any new committees must have terms of reference set out. That's our normal procedure. So the same as previous years, if that's everybody's happy with that. So it's a rubber stamp normally.
Okay. Point 13 and 14. Does everyone wish to stay the same on their current committees?
Yes, I'm happy.
The chairman of the committees will be appointed or elected at the next meeting of that particular committee, so we don't need to discuss that tonight. As long as everybody's happy to remain where they are.
Well, I'm quite happy to come off the finance committee. People keep, the chair usually
Only
goes on
6
to it.
members.
Is that enough? I mean, I'll stay on it if you want, but I mean, if it's,
Please stay.
6 is
you want 6, okay, I'll stay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay.
otherwise we
I
get
didn't want it to be too many.
otherwise we get down to a quorum.
Oh, that's
Silly
fine,
numbers,
that's
so.
okay, I can do it, yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. 14.
Reps. We've got a list of reps at the moment. Anybody wants to change from those? Do you want me to go through them? Would it be helpful? Everybody knows what they're on.
Okay, so-
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And point 15, to confirm the confirmation around insurance cover in respect of all
And
insured
insurance
risks.
cover, yes, Chairman, we are insured with Cayman Co. and the cheque is being paid tonight.
Okay, another, to review the council's complaints procedure.
It's been reviewed by your predecessor and myself. I circulated a copy to all the members, Chairman.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
to review the procedures for freedom of information and data protection requests.
It's probably to note that we are under the guidance of the data protection people. There's new rules and regulations coming out, which I'm doing a training session next week. So whether there will be anything which we need to know about, then I'll let you know. But it's just really a rubber stamp to,
No, I've just been to some training at
Oh,
work
have you?
about it.
Oh,
It's
good.
quite interesting
yeah,
about having to explain what data we hold and how we manage that data
yeah.
and,
Well, that's
and use that data.
That's the session I'm going
It's
to next
really
week.
And then this will take in obviously
So it might
the
have an
video recording as
implication.
well.
We might have an implication to come back
Yeah.
to council to discuss actually,
Probably
just
will.
to make sure that we're
Yeah.
we all understand it.
I know we don't have to
With
appoint a
regards-
data protection officer as a parish council.
No.
They are now exempted, I do know that.
But there is some changes.
Yeah,
Just very quick discussion about that, just to fill people in about what we need to be careful about.
We have that info for next month? You have that?
Well, if Rod and I discuss it between us,
Yeah.
then we can bring it to the
We can bring it
council,
up.
can't we?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I've been to the meeting next week. Next Tuesday, I think it is.
Yeah.
Is that Salk?
Self meeting, yeah. So,
Okay. Point 18, to agree the year-end accounts.
yeah, they have been examined by an external auditor, and they've now got to go off to, it's not Grant, it's not anymore, I can't remember the name now, but they have to go off there. You have to sign it, Chairman, I have to sign it, and I say the books do cover it, thank goodness. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay. To point 19, to agree the council's financial regulations and internal financial controls.
Circulated internal financial controls and financial regs are on the website, Chairman, so I could ask that you be rubber stamped.
Mhm. Okay. Point 20, to receive and approve the inventory and asset register of council property.
I've circulated the inventory in the asset register, Chairman. Could I ask that you be rubber stamped, please?
Okay. Point 21, to note any deeds and trust investments in the custody of the council.
Yes, I've circulated that list as well, Chairman. It's a list of all the items which are kept in the safe. So I'll ask that for a rubber stamp as well.
Okay. Point 22, to consider making a grant to Wedmore Opera.
Yeah, this was raised by Suzanne Matthews originally. I've had a letter since then from Marilyn Johnson asking if the parish council would make a grant to them. They said last year we made a grant of £500, which was very well received. And I think that's the sum they're looking for again.
Do we have a proposal?
I'll second it.
Opposed, Polly?
Yep.
Fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Obviously, we brought the footpath.
Is everybody happy for their £500? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Point 24, Mike, to consider the costings for fence repairs at the allotments. Mike?
Yeah, right, we had a phone call from Tom, Pete would remember us that years ago that the hedge was in great need of repair. Pete and you, with Mike Sandiford, you agreed to put barbed wire down on the lane side, didn't you?
Lane side.
Well, that have deteriorated now and fell apart in places, so this Tom can't have cattle up through the lane without them going through the hedge, so he asked if that could be repaired. So I've got a contractor to give us a price, and the price would be £375. So I'm just asking for approval to do that work, really.
You proposing it?
I'll propose it, yeah.
Everybody happy?
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
lovely.
Who's the contractor?
Roger Williams.
Right, okay. Cheaper, isn't it?
Yep. Oh, it's going well.
Too well, Jack.
Right, identification, point 25, sorry. Identification of such business which by reason of special circumstances is, in the opinion of the chairman, urgent and required to be transacted. Right. Yeah.
Or you can mention on that.
Well, I was going to do it on the visit set. Okay.
So it's nil on that one.
Yeah. Any issues and questions raised by councillors?
Anybody want for the next meeting?
Can't see now.
Next meeting.
Next
Do you
meeting?
want to mention Mr Webber? 'Cause
Yes, you know that strip of land opposite my house, but near Elmsted Hall, which has been such a bone of contention because it's so untidy. I saw somebody out there the other day, and it happened to be somebody who's just moved into Elmsted Hall, and he loves gardening, and he's cleared it all beautifully.
Really?
And I really think it would be rather nice if we sent a letter to say thank you very much indeed. Yeah, he wants an idea from you. There are still the brambles lodged in the stones at the edge, leading into the brook. And he wanted to know if you've got any ideas about what he can put on it to stop the brambles from growing.
The farmers will know. Some nasty
That's what I
weed
thought.
killer.
Well, on a water course.
Yeah.
I think so, do you?
Sorry,
That's interesting you brought that up, Suzanne, because I was looking at it not long ago. And
Yes,
thought,
so was
oh,
I,
this is what I'm
thinking-
going to have to do. I'm going to have to bring this up every 2 years and get everyone to clear it every 2 years.
But there, no, his mom was very happy to do it.
I don't know what you do about that.
Yeah.
Because it's making the wall quite unstable in places.
Yeah.
When I last looked at it, it was partly all sorts going on.
It's Mr Philip Webber. He lived in Cheddar. I've known him for years and years. His daughter is a parish clerk, Badgerworth, I think it is. And I saw him filling up the garden centre this week and passed on Suzanne's comment. So if everybody's happy, I'll write him a letter.
Yes.
Thank you for what he's doing. As regards to the wheat killing, I'm not an expert on that.
I mean, it's a long way up from the brook. If he's careful that he puts it only on this side rather than on the edge.
You can use a flame. You can use a flamethrower or torch, gas torch.
Can you?
Yeah.
To kill the
We can
brambles?
probably ask Will to do it when he's doing his...
You never know. I've seen them. I just look a bit, this guy with a flamethrower. Sorry?
How long would it be to ask Will to do it?
Well, I'll ask him tomorrow. I mean, you can pop round and have a look at it and get them cleared, I'm sure he will.
Has he got a flamethrower?
I imagine he's got most
Oh,
of
good.
it.
That's fine, that's okay.
For the next meeting, I wasn't here last meeting, but I do a brief synopsis of the meeting I went to regarding the speed indicator devices, you may
Yes.
recall.
Yeah.
Rather than discuss it here, I'd like it raised at the next meeting if possible.
Steve, is there anything you'd like to add regarding the neighbourhood plan consultation?
We had a consultation over the last few days, and I've got some drafts here if anybody wants a copy. We've been selling them for £5 each, but as you'll remember. I've got some more, if any drafts, if anybody wants them, Mr Chairman.
Thank you. I've already got one, thank you.
I've got some more, if anybody wants them. They're out for consultation until the 1st of June. The next step on is we go for what's called Regulation 14 consultation. I don't know what that entails yet. We're racing really to try and get it done by end of August so that we can get it to Sedgemoor in September. We then look at it and determine whether they think it's okay or not, and in line with the local plan. If it is, it then goes to the inspector, wherever he may be, in London I guess, and he gets back by the year end I think. And then with luck, bearing in mind we've got local elections next year, they can conduct the referendum at the same time as the local elections, which will save money.
Save money, yeah.
So that's what we're trying to achieve. Whether we can do it or not, it remains to be seen.
When are the local elections?
Sorry?
Next May.
Next May. We've had a few good comments back on the thing, and there's some issues which was discussed with Nick Tate at Bridgewater this week. We'd like some of the wording changed. Apart from that, it seems to be pretty good. So if anybody wants a copy, let me know. And
Do you have good numbers through the door?
not many really. I think because of the location, I think the village hall, if it had been available, would have been better. I think people don't realise where the parish meeting room is. We've got a sign outside the front, but the people who did come were quite constructive in the main. There was one or two people who came who were very concerned because of the two sites potential for building near the school, obviously back into their property. So that's a hot potato, but what can one do, you know? That's right. I have heard on the grapevine that Strongbox might be putting an application in the next few weeks. I said to Nick Tate, if they do, what weight does he put to the draft plan? He said, well, until it's been through the Regulation 14 process, which is the next 6 weeks or so, they can't. But after it's been through the Regulation 14 process, then they can give it some weighting. So,
Just earn the meeting.
Is that something you've heard of, Polly, with regard to Strongbox coming in, or?
No, I haven't heard anything from them for a while.
no, it's just a rumour.
I just keep hearing about Lucida.
Right.
Lucida.
Any other matters to report with regard to any of the subcommittees? I'll just mention the Housing Committee meeting on Monday with regard to a meeting with Acorn, or a representative of Acorn. Alex, thanks for your input on Monday.
It's good, mate.
Really, really good. With regard to Acorn's layout of the development, they seem to think about moving the apartment block that was up at the top at Kinbatch, which they appear to are going to move to nearer the Borough Mall, so they'll lie a bit lower in the ground than being high up on Kinbatch. The other point I think would be the stumbling block for Acorn to get our approval really, or our support, would be the mix of how the road is laid out, or the proportion of traffic using the Lurburn as opposed to Kinbatch. Currently the highways have said that they're more than happy for 2/3, or I can't remember the main proportion of traffic, or the majority of the traffic, to use the Lurburn, which, as we all know, will create problems. So we've asked them to go back to what the original plan was and look at the proportion of traffic going out via Kinbatch, and then invoking the display that we believe that the house has been bought, so with the intention of using that as the main exit route or entry. So really we left it with Acorn to come back with another proposal. So we had a couple of residents here that voiced their concerns. Alex, you got anything to add?
Nothing to add, no.
No? Okay.
What about the pepper potting?
Pepper potting, I can add about that, but was a concept that wasn't in the 106 agreement. It didn't say that you had to pepper pot the homes around. It said that they had to be, I can't remember the exact words now, integrated is the word, and integrated is a word that's open to a quite different interpretation of pepper potting. So we have no legs to stand on the pepper potting thing. We've had a conversation with them, and they made points which I can see the argument of, to be quite honest. about the distribution of low-cost housing. And it's for everybody else to make the decision, but my view was that we should perhaps sit down on that one. And fight.
Why were you persuaded?
Well, the argument was, first of all, the pepper potting was never in 106. That's a word that Trevor Prideaux has used again and again, but it's not in the 106. And so it's completely unenforceable. It's not a planning condition in any way. But the planning conditions say that it has to be integrated, and that then comes down to what you mean by integrated. And it went on to expand to say that it mustn't be demarked, it mustn't have fences and things around it, and it should be indistinguishable in appearance. And Sedgemoor District Council, the representative there said, as far as he's concerned, the affordable housing is indistinguishable in appearance, and it is certainly the case that there's no fencing around it. And we made a pitch in our objection to say that there was effective demarcation by access. And you remember the access to the top across from what's the name of it? Thank you very much. And there was a high proportion of low-cost housing there. And it was just that access to the low-cost housing. All luxury houses had a completely different access road, and they've changed that now by moving the block of flats down towards a mile. And so there is that argument falls now really with the changes that they've made. And I honestly think we'd get absolutely nowhere by jumping up and down about pepper potting, because it just isn't a requirement. And so sometimes you have to take the hits, you know. But the other one, the access, is worth a go. But we're on home foot at the moment because the county council have accepted the transport survey, was it?
Yeah.
That Acorn have done in light of our objections. Acorn employed a bloke to say that their plan was perfectly sound. The bloke has said the plan is perfectly sound, and Somerset County Council appear to have accepted it. And when we asked about what circumstances they would consider looking at the traffic in the Lurburn, the answer was from the district council. They said they'd only consider if it's dangerous. So
any volunteers to die then?
So we do what we can do.
But on the back of that, they are going to use a third-party consultation, aren't they, with regard to...
Are they?
Yeah. So they're going to look at it again with regard to...
Okay.
Obviously you've got outside agencies coming in, and there's nothing like local knowledge, so we're going to look at it again regarding the traffic.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any idea when they're planning to start, Neil?
ASAP.
As soon as they've got a full...
They said June.
It's in June. The Adrian Noon that came from district said they're probably July now to committee, if it needs to go to committee, and then they were looking to get the diggers on site in October. So
Good.
it should be good to see some movement there.
Well, yeah, it's
On proviso, they're looking at the traffic. So right, okay. Financial matters.
Yeah, unfortunately the internet banking Lloyds have let us down. We haven't had the card numbers, so hopefully this will be the last one we checked. Perhaps if Suzanne and Mike, would you mind just, there aren't many there tonight.
Can I just ask a question to you, Mr. Chairman? The number one, if you like, on the pay is 7,480. It says village hall chairs. Is that a grant?
No. The village hall, we are making a contribution towards the village hall chairs.
Yes.
There have been donations coming in for various...
But these are the raked chairs?
Yes, the raised seating.
Yes.
Primarily so we can claim back the VAT.
No, sure, I like that. Yeah.
No, it's an agreement which we had, but we would actually pay for them, claim the VAT back, but the vast majority has been paid by private donations and from other organisations.
Fantastic facility, that is money well spent.
Is that
Great seating.
Oh, thank you very much, yes.
Has anybody spotted them yet?
Sorry?
Has anybody tried them?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
yes,
they've been
yes,
used
yes,
for where
yes.
they
Oh
fell.
yes, a lot of people.
Very flexible, and they hold up down the hall and back again, and it's fantastic. Comfortable seats. Really good.
Oh yes, there's an opportunity, no, there isn't, no, there isn't now. Nice around. Oh, nil on the plastic and gravel.
Yes. Can I ask whether the price of the village hall will raise will grow up because of them.
Nope.
That's good.
If you want to use them, it might be a different matter, but that's yet to be discussed properly.
No.
No, he hasn't turned up. Don't know what to do about that really. You all had, I circulated a letter he sent round, but without a proposal really. I mean, it's on the
Has everyone
agenda.
has everyone read the
Big Brown's
letter?
letter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, everyone's, I presume that people are aware of the donation or the grant that they've got now for the clubhouse, to the sport, 400 and
The Big Football Foundation.
400
It's a short $500,000, I think.
just under. Basically, that's not going to finance the whole build, so Pete is looking for additional funding for a fit out and what have you. They're looking on his proposal was for a grant from the parish council of £5,000. Now we can vote in his absence with regard to funding, putting some more money their way. Now, currently, I don't know what, Nick.
I've got a feeling we had some information around fairly recently about RLT2 funding. That was residual. And apparently it was earmarked for Wedmore. It was about £4,000, I think. £4,000. They've got money in from tennis, they've got money in from the bowls, and maybe if we could wrest the RLT2 money from Sedgemoor for this, then we could think maybe next year whether or not we wanted to add to that and help them get over the last step or two. But I mean, if you're happy for us to try and get the RLT2 money, I'm pretty sure it's about £4,000.
When is the next
Grants.
meeting? Yeah, grants meeting.
Oh, I haven't got a clue.
I got an email.
Maybe, it must be June or July.
Well,
Guessing.
could I propose then that we look to the RLT2 money initially to support playing fields?
Do you want me to stir that up a bit with them?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Suzanne?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes, I do sit on the committee.
And we'll top up as required.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, no, but
As we can afford.
as we can.
They're doing such a fantastic job.
It's a great. It will be a great
It
facility.
will be such a facility.
Do we know any kind of timeline from now on now?
They are actually going to be putting the trench in the ground the week before the harvest home.
Wow.
We tried to, Rod and Nick, we tried to defer this. The planning runs out a week before the harvest home. So tried to defer it by a week for the works to start. Stuart Hewlett wouldn't accept that. So they really basically got to dig a trench, put some concrete in it and take a photograph. And that constitutes the start. So so following the harvest home, that's when they'll be moving in.
Excellent.
So it's, you know, there's stuff that people can get on board with, sponsor a solar panel. There's loads of other stuff that's going to be coming out over the next couple of months with the junior football club. So yeah, it's just, you know, it's going to be a great facility for the community. It really is. And hats off to everyone that's been involved in it really, because it's been a long slog. It really has. But to see some structure getting put up, I think that'd be great. It really will be good.
I don't know how they did that.
Okay.
Just need to go through the committee information on that agenda, so on page 3.
Yeah.
But the various committees, go through those very quickly. Planning, there's another meeting on the 30th of May, but you won't be here, but Ricky is going to chair it.
Going to do it,
Yeah.
Housing,
Oh, well, just going on really good with Acorn, so I think we've filtered that in really.
cemetery,
Yeah, thank you to everyone who turned up to help with our tidy up.
It looks a treat coming down Cheddar Road now, doesn't it? With the railings painted. Yeah, it looks really good.
finances, nothing, Chairman.
highways?
Allotments, highways,
It's a shame David Huxtable's not here tonight. I want him to almost get another meeting set up at County Hall because we're just not getting any progress on a number of topics.
Yeah, can I chip in with that? I've emailed Highways to Liam Gill, I copied in David Huxtable and I copied in the Housing Minister, John Woodman, to the whole thing about Clud Street and Wells Way, and we have got to seriously address the issues because I saw a kid fall in the hedge because it was so wet he didn't have anywhere else to go with the traffic. And they're just brushing to it. Not one of them has responded to me.
No.
So I think I'm going to get Jane and CB involved now.
Well, I wrote to James Headby a while back.
Very bored.
He told me, thank you for my letter, and he's forwarded to David Huxtable.
Well, that's no.
But we're not getting, we're not getting any...
And I up at the top there, Muchley, yeah, where a year ago I stood with the guy from Highways and said, let's put the chevrons here so they don't crash into the retreat again. That's nothing.
They started doing the right line of the chevrons and they put it in the wrong place.
So what's been purported to be the reason? Is it lack of funds? Is it lack of staff? Is it just...
Both, I think. And bad management, yes.
Yeah, I know Somerset County Council are in a bit of a pickle, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, but...
I suppose that's what they
So the gentleman in charge of the cabinet member for Highway did come here, didn't he? So with David Huxtable's support, hopefully I was going to get in contact with him and suggest we meet with him at County Hall and go through these issues.
It's frustrating not to get a response to an email. An email don't focus on it, get anything from him, so... Keep writing.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Wait a minute.
We've done that.
Either Web One News is the next one. We've had a meeting, I know.
Yeah, we had a meeting and everything is going fine.
Sorry. Play areas, nothing for Wedmore News yet.
I need to do something with getting rid of saying that.
No, Blackford, nothing else. Blackford.
It's dead.
Yeah.
Car park's locked, no one uses it.
Well, they did actually raise the money themselves, didn't they, to do it? The only thing that we did for them was to very kindly pay the VAT, but they organised and paid for it themselves. So why should they have to run the risk of it being so worn out so quickly?
I don't think the argument is the concrete's going to wear out. Their argument was based on liability and stuff. And the answer to why they should is there's an agreement dating back to 1986 that says that the parishioners have access to the play park. And they've just basically removed that.
Well, I suggest you ask them to be here and put the point to us.
We've done that.
We've done.
Well, do it again.
Well,
Can we recite the play area somewhere else?
Bill me? No.
No, can we? Could we?
I don't know. I mean, if you're asking me for solutions, I don't have a solution. I find the whole thing really quite annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Because it seems like a right unneighbourly attitude. And I know that we have slightly different views to Blackford Village Hall Committee, but there's petitions have been raised, over 100 signatures, and only yesterday, was it yesterday or today, the chaos in the loop, people were taking over an hour to pick up the children.
No, because it was traffic light.
It was the traffic lights, but the whole thing is unsatisfactory. And the elements who should be helping here are either not helping, which is the school, they're just not doing anything, or actively working against road safety issues, which is Blackford Village Hall. Apologies, Peter. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
So anyway, the answer as far as the play area goes is it's dead.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It is a shame.
Isn't there a way of putting another entrance into it?
No.
Straight on the road.
I don't think the entrance is an issue. I mean, people can, it is parking. I mean, they can go in, they can go through 3 gates to get to it. And I've made sure that the gates are open when in weekends at, the whole time and weekends, and they're open, well, obviously for purposes of users. All users have got it, all regular users have got keys. And those who meet like ballet in the afternoons, there's 3 afternoons a week, they're asked to leave the gate open after they have, but I've been down 4 times, and at the village cafe, which was last Wednesday, where usually we had a job to get in, and we did just make a note, no one went out and patrolled it, but there wasn't one car that, you know, came into, and it's open all day, if you see what I mean. So no one used it. I mean, that's slightly false in as much as, well, people probably don't know that the second Wednesday in the month is the cafe. Well, that's just, you know.
Okay. I don't know. No. I have to think on that one. Really. Individual. Yeah. Edwin? No. Any fields? Laura?
I'm sure we all know that the Williams and Greyhouse aren't, we'll talk about that anymore. The only thing that Rich Van Love did bring up was that he's been trying to contact District Council because they've been invoiced, I think, twice for one lot of grass cutting.
Right.
He's written or emailed a few times and has had nothing back. He asked if it was possible that we could give them a nudge, maybe to find out what's going
We
on.
don't generally ever get involved in it, do we?
No, we don't involve their grass cutting at all. I mean, we
No.
pay Will
We didn't know whether we
It was
would-
a separate arrangement between the school and
Oh, right.
yeah, it's not, we don't want to get involved, I'm sorry.
Right, okay, so
Pete
I'm-
would probably be the one to speak to.
Yeah.
He's been liaison with that.
Yeah,
So,
okay, alright, that's fine.
okay. Sal?
Well, so, some good news, Chairman, for me, because we have had a pay rise as parish clerks for a couple of years, and we got one from the 1st of April.
Don't look at me in that tone of voice.
It came through this week. I think it's 2.9%.
Right.
So I'm hoping that the parish council will support it. It's paid to the parish clerk. We didn't get one, we had one for 2 years.
2 years.
Probably could give another 2 years. It's not, something like £5 a month or something.
Right, Judy, on to me.
I haven't heard much from them recently. I believe they're going to France this year, but it's all been very quiet.
And we've already heard from regarding your neighbourhood plans. So. That's it. Any little correspondence? That was it?
No, no correspondence. Only 2 items this month, Chairman.
Okay. Many thanks.
Thank you very much.